With us now to celebrate this happy day is Paddy McAloon. Hello, Paddy.
Hiya, fellas. Nice to be here.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great.
Great to talk to you. And I just the pictures we've seen of you, fully resplendent, acres of white hair and beardage. Is that still the look?
Yeah, the Paddy Vishnu Orchestra.
How long's that been cultivating? It looks like a long time.
That's not long, would you believe that? No, I shaved the long beard off ages ago, and it seems to have grown back very, very quickly. Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Crimson Red, as I said, the first new stuff we've heard from you for a long time, but right. you never stop writing. Is this right?
No.
You're in there every day, are you?
I have something on the go every day. I try to avoid the studio. I don't actually like being in there, and people who know me will laugh because when they hear me described as a recluse, they always say, "God, you're always out and about somewhere," which is true.
Yeah.
However, when I get down to it, as I did last October, I decided to really go for it.
Right. Do you work at home? A studio at home?
Yes, I have Andromeda
Heights.
Yeah, it's attached to my tent.
And do you always, I mean, the sleeve notes to this, you're talking about and paying thanks to the people who've been in Prefab Sprout, down the years, but this is just you, so do you tend to work entirely alone?
At the moment I work entirely alone, simply because I don't know how to judge other musicians. My hearing's not great. We could sit forever to try and do something that, that in the end you're listening to a man with a funny ear telling you that it's not in tune, what have you, so I find it easier to use machines. Luckily, my brother Martin is very understanding of how I've made this record. But that doesn't mean that all future records will be like this. I just did it in a hurry, and it was easier to do it all myself than to explain to other people. And I should say that although I do it myself, I hand it over to Callum Malcolm, who's a great engineer, and really I give him the awful job of trying to put guitars in time that have been laid down without a count in or without a click track.
Right.
He tries to make sense of that. And hasn't done a bad job, I would say.
When you say, Paddy, that you did this quite quickly from last October, so
yes.
what prompted that? What happened in October to prompt that?
I got a phone call saying that I was about 2 or 3 years past the deadline, which had completely slipped my mind because I was working on this other project, about 20 songs, and was almost ready to record it. I'd written them all over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But the panic was that legally I owed a record, and I was so upset at myself. I can't even begin to tell you the stress that I felt last October, and I just grabbed 10 songs that I could do. What I thought I could do a song a day for 10 days. That was my plan.
Right. Grabbed from where? From your own archive?
Yeah, from my archive. Songs that link. The link between them really is that I can play them on an acoustic guitar, that they stand up in a very simple way without a million instruments. But when I got down to it, I thought if I record them as a kind of unplugged thing, I thought that the joys of them might get a bit thin after a while. So I ended up spending 3 days and 4 days on each song, and then in the end I spent 8 to 10 weeks making it sound like a proper old-fashioned record.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a listen to a track, and then we'll talk more. Tell us about Billy.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy, it's one of those, some songs come to you as a kind of gift, and it's best not to analyse them too much. I rarely write songs on my birthday, but this I wrote 2 years ago. I don't know why that is, it's a funny thing. I have a thing about dates and songs, but this just sort of popped out 2 years ago, and I heard the first line, "Where'd you find that trumpet, Billy?" And I did give it a bit of consideration. Should I really go with that? Or should I build a story around that? And I thought, yeah, why not? But I like this in terms of just the fact that it's a gift to me, if you know what I mean. It's a gift.
Yeah.
One of those songs.
It's a really joyous song.
Yeah. Without too much thought, there it is, and you can analyse what it might be about and what it might be.
But it is fiction, is it?
Yes, it is. It's
right.
I think it's really. I don't know why I'm going to tell you this, because I read Donovan's autobiography recently, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, and he says, whatever you do, never explain your lyrics. And I kind of think that might be the one piece of real sense in the entire book. Not to offend them, it's a great read, honestly. But I thought that in the song I get to be the chap asking the questions of Billy, and I get to be Billy. So I know nothing about music, and Billy knows everything about music, and I can dance on either side of the fence, if that makes any sense to you.
Here we go. This is Billy. Tim Starkey says, Prefab Sprout, joy above all joys.
Tim Burgess has been on. Billy sounding epic on BBC Rad. Matt from Prefab Sprout. There is. You must be aware, Paddy, of the fantastic amount of affection there is for you and your music. And that must be really heartening, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's quite surprising, really. Because when you've been away a while, you think people have forgotten you, but it is amazing. I can't say anything else.
Well, there is something about, there always been something about music that gets under people's skin in a way.
Yeah.
Craig Thomas is saying the same thing. MBK has been on. Jonathan from Leeds said, my Crimson Red vinyl came in the post today. Luckily a CD was included. Listened to it twice driving from Leeds to Southend. Just brilliant. When you were describing the process of plugging these things off the archives and working alone,
yes.
it does sound like a kind of the existence of a painter in a way. And there's a kind of Crimson Red. Is that sort of reference to Rothko? Is it four darks? It is. Four darks in red, is it?
I don't know. It is a reference to Rothko. I have it as a line in the song. Actually, it came to me one day without any great thought. I was trying to describe what it's like when you're a teenager, when you're an adolescent, and the line Crimson Red, it's fireworks inside your head. And I was looking for an album title that wasn't too specifically, based on one of the songs. And I thought it's often nice to just have a couple of words from a record, to represent it. A little bit vague, but kind of passionate at the same time.
You take these records. I mean, one of them you said was written 2 years ago, which for you said is The Blink of an Eye.
Yeah, that's the most recent of them. I mean, this month I've got a book in front of me with titles, and I've written about 6 new things this month, so it's not like I'm short of new things. But sometimes this will sound a bit mad, but sometimes it's nice just to leave them and then look at them again. You see them with a freshness. So Crimson Red, I wrote some new lyrics to it last October. Similarly, I think The Old Magician, it was 15 or 16 years old, and I added another verse to that. So sometimes you can be your own editor if enough time has elapsed.
The thing is, Paddy, so you are, whether consciously or not, amassing this incredible archive for posterity that will see Prefab Sprout records being reached till the heat death of the universe, won't it?
Yeah, I was asked last week by, I think he was embarrassed after he asked the question. A Scottish journalist said, "Was there any provision in my will for this material?" And I said, "I don't know whether that's the funniest question I've ever been asked or the most appalling one, because really, when I'm gone, and that's that." But yeah, these things are all on bits of cassette, and can give hours or minutes of merriment to anyone who digs them out.
Are you a fan of Rothko? I mean, just sort of, because he divides people, doesn't he? But the people, people say you have to experience those big canvases in the flesh to let it wash over you.
Well, I haven't seen any of Mark Rothko's stuff in the flesh, but I saw Blue Poles by Jackson Pollock in the Tate Modern a few years ago, and I thought that was just absolutely stunning, but partly to do with the size, and but it sort of pushes all that stuff, all the anecdotal stuff of. But he just drips things on the floor and then he rolls them up. It pushes it out the window. But for myself, the paintings that I do paintings, and they are really strictly for chuckles, because otherwise in a studio you're just looking at grey walls, So I sometimes paint things and put them up just so that I can amuse myself and give them interesting titles like Henman Struggles with Self-Doubt, or Sunderland, another nightmare season, or even one Henman Invokes the Devil. You can tell that some of my paintings are quite old, like my songs, and I haven't moved into the joyous Andy Murray era yet, but I will do.
You've often worked with concepts,
Yes.
You like a good concept. So have you had some concepts on the go recently that you shelved in order to get Crimson Red done?
Yes, I did. The thing I shelved was, it was of the Vegas kind of concept, which was that something had happened in the woods, and various people had observed it from different angles. And I was quite into that idea. It just grew out of one song. So I shelved that to do Crimson Red, whose only concept is probably the fact that they're guitar-based and that they're little story songs.
But so what of the Christmas album? What of Zorro the Fox? What of all these things?
Okay, Zorro the Fox got, it kind of got, I don't know what the term is, where you sort of mash something up and recycle various bits of it. I kept writing the same song over and over. It was as if you had The Sound of Music, but you never really got beyond Maria on the hillside, running back to a monastery or to a convent. So I thought, no, you clearly aren't cut out for this.
Right.
Total Snow, the Sprout, Prefab Sprout Christmas album, is now been on the go since 1986. I've perfected the look, obviously. I've got that down pretty cold now, and hope to do something with that one of these days. In fact, I have enough for two Christmas albums. But I was slightly put off the title Total Snow because I'm sure you gentlemen are well aware of the Spinal Tap film.
Yes.
Well, there's a 2-word review, which I won't say on the air.
Yes.
Of shark sandwich, and it's not shark.
Yeah,
so
that's right,
total snow, you've put yourself right in that vulnerable position. You know where I'm coming from?
We do.
It would have to be good.
Tell us about Devil Came A-Calling.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like story songs, and I think I'd been going through a phase of listening to Desire, Bob Dylan. There's a Jacques Levy lyric on Black Diamond Bay, and it's just a long narrative that unfolds, and for some reason I really got into the idea of just telling a story and let meanings attached to it afterwards, as to whether it was real or whether it was about myself. And one of the things that I like to do is to put I have my own name in there. In a song about the devil trying to seduce someone, you cannot put your manager's name in, can you? It'd be personal. I couldn't have Keith in there.
No.
And I couldn't have my brother's name in there. So I had to bite the bullet and put Patrick in there. So it's a retelling of the Faust story, basically.
From the new Prefab Sprout album, Crimson Red, that is Devil Came A-Calling. Your innate natural modesty may make you want to avert your ears, Paddy, when at some of these. Mark Andrew Evans, I could listen to Paddy all day, true pop genius. Ant Meal says, supreme as always. Mr. Descarga, another Prefab Sprout purchase to make, this is brilliant. John McLeish loving it as well, Paddy's a legend. And Lenny Lava says, I love you, Paddy.
Ailsa, Jeremy Duns, Adam Robinson and Rob Shaw have all said, get this crap off. No, they haven't, Dave. There's more love. I was just giving a balanced view.
I was just going to say, we need a balanced view here.
The record, which is a terrific record, I mean, is each time I pass through it, I get a different favourite track. But you're saying, even though it's taken culled from different periods of the compositional stages.
Yes, yeah.
But it has a sound. It hangs together as a kind of complete whole, doesn't it? In case people.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, it does totally. So, and I guess that's because you did it on Andromeda Heights reasonably quickly, did you?
Yeah, I got up at dawn and honestly like a lunatic.
Do you have a favourite time of day to work?
No, definitely not dawn.
Right.
I just had to do it. It was the only way I could do it. I prefer late afternoon to sing. I think it's better for the voice, otherwise you sound a bit crusty. But in terms of songwriting, the great thing for me is that I'll just start something at any time at home, with just a little bit of a melody or a few words, and then I might go wander around, I'll go out somewhere, and if the tune is in my head, I will try and fit new words over it. That's how I work.
You mentioned your manager Keith, who's been your manager for donkey's years, who I knew back in the day, and Martin, your brother, who's still very closely associated with you, and you live, sort of the part of the country where you've always lived. At what point, when you set off on this great rock and roll adventure, did it become obvious to you that you weren't going to live, in Bel Air, and that life was going to change but stay the same? Well, I think it never occurred to me that we would move, which is, of course, terribly naive. If you want to have a career like Neil Diamond or Elton John, you've got to do that stuff. But I think somewhere at the back of my mind there was always the thing that the writing was the important thing. Yeah. And it has to be said that when we signed through Kitchenware to Sony Records, or CBS as they were back in the 80s, the man who signed us was a man called Muff Winwood, and he said, I remember the look on his face. He kind of just said, well, the airlines, the routes are pretty quick now. You can commute. It is possible to do that. But for most of the time we sort of we either recorded in small places in London or, strangely enough, in Los Angeles. In fact, I am another connection to Giorgio Moroder, even though you've moved on from that section of your program, where we recorded quite a number of the things on Langley Park in Memphis, including The King of Rock and Roll, a lot of it in his studio in somewhere on the outskirts of Hollywood.
Is this where you brilliant. You told me that story once that you had to bite the bullet and tell Stevie Wonder to do a second take of his harmonica solo.
No, that was that was in Westwood Studio, I think, in London. It doesn't sound quite as extreme as that. He played this thing at the end of a song, a real virtuoso flourish on the harmonica, and I just felt that it was too much. It was almost like saying, "There's your silly little song, and this is what I do." Because it was brilliant, and casually asked him to do it again, and he was absolutely fantastic. Just Eagles, sure, yep, and did something else. So there were lots of options. He was fantastic. God help us.
You do say you get out and about, and people say it's a laugh. People who know you say it's a laugh that you're a recluse. What do you get out and about doing? Is it just sort of wandering and pottering, or is there anything else you do?
I'm a flaneur.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm a flaneur. I like to go out and it's not coffee with me. It's a lethal addiction to Coca-Cola.
Is that?
Yeah, unfortunately, the teeth have gone. The teeth, really, truly, no. It's a painful thing. And I wander about and I'll think about my work. And I do find, this sounds a bit vague, but I sometimes think that a lot of thought about music is sometimes more productive than just sitting there banging at the keyboard. So it seems to work for me, even though the productivity rate could be a bit higher, clearly.
And people are asking if you'll play live. We're assuming not.
No, the only thing I could possibly do live is one man strumming his acoustic guitar, and
that would seem to be more nerve-wracking than any other way of returning to this live stage.
I don't know what it is with maybe getting older. The nervous thing is much more of a problem than it ever was. I worry about everything. I worry about getting my photograph taken. Worry about coming on the radio to talk. I get a real terrible sort of insurmountable feeling of discomfort. So a
lot of people feel that coming to talk to us. So don't worry.
Well, I know, and you said this before, but I think you underestimate the public kind of goodwill, maybe, or maybe you don't. I thought you were going to surprise us then, Paddy, and say, well, it's interesting you say that, Matt, because there's a 50-date tour starting at Bristol Colston Hall in November,
yeah, absolutely. It would be wonderful to say that, to just come out with it. But if I did that, I know that there are various people out there in the world who might be listening, Keith, who would have a poster done, put up before we could. It has been done before.
Well, look, we've got the record.
It's a fantastic record.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about the Associates and Club Country, and we'll round off with that.
Okay, when we were, in our infancy, or before we'd made a record, we were always very taken by Billy Mackenzie's voice and the unusualness of some of the Associate songs. You had, references to refrigeration keeping you cold and things like that. And I love this. I saw him once with his legendary whippets in a London hotel, and nodded to him. But the last time I saw him, he was coming out of another hotel, and he said to me, Prefab Sprout, he says, "I've got a song for you, but alas, I was never to hear what that was." But I love his voice, and he should be remembered with great respect and fondness.
Absolutely, yeah. Lovely talking to you,
Paddy.
Great to hear you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
This is BBC Radio 6 Music.
6 Music.
6 Music.